Like many of you, we battle depression during life's ups and downs.
Music has always been the one thing that we could rely on to get us through the tough times that we all face.
Hey, everybody! Thank you for listening to When Words Fail Music Speaks podcast. I'm your handicapped host, James Cox, and I can't talk today for some reason, but that's okay. um, today
Nice to
we
meet
have
you, James.
good to meet you too. Today we have a very, very, very special guest with me today, Mr. John Bush from Armored Saint, the all-time favorite band. Yeah. So
How are you, man? What's happening?
good. How are you? Good. How are you? Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. It's Monday, so we're, like I said, getting the week started. But well, I walked my dog, and now we're on to talking about Little Saint and trying to get a doctor appointment for my son who plays hockey, but injured his wrist yesterday. So
Oh no, is he okay though? I mean, is it?
we're trying to get him to an orthopedic doctor, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, it happened out in like an hour away from where he played his game, and it was just really annoying. But that's the way it is. Sports come with sports comes injuries, and unfortunately
Yes,
sometimes.
yes. But you come back faster and better, you know.
That's the approach. That's what we're trying to strive for.
Yes, sir. I hope it comes out well, and I hope everything works out for him in the long run. So yeah, so it's all good. It's all good. So where are you located?
I'm in LA. We're Armored Saint, is a native of the city of Los Angeles. All of us were, for the most part, born and raised here. Gonzo and Phil actually grew up in Mexico City, and they were there for a very brief period of their existence on Earth, and then they moved to LA. And me and Jeff grew up in LA, and for the most part, I believe that we're natives here of Los Angeles. And Gonzo, myself, and Joey and Phil, we've gone on basically 50 years of a friendship, so we've known each other for a very long time, and we're still making music together. So it's pretty awesome. Half a century.
Half a century. Oh my God, yeah. Because I was born in the '80s, so I think the '80s has like the best music ever made. You agree?
Well, yeah, obviously there's some great aspects of the 80s musically. That's when Armored Saint began.
Right.
A lot of metal bands, of course, began in the 80s, and other music as well. Some cool pop music. There was some pretty sappy stuff that came out of the 80s too. Some pretty bad hairdos and image for some people, including myself. But you look back fondly.
Hey man, I mean the '80s were like built around like hairstyles and all this like get up and everything, and there's bands like that like didn't want to do that like old Metallica, just wanted to rule the world, so they didn't care about all the hair makeup and everything. They just kicked ass.
Yeah, they did, and they stripped it down to just jeans and t-shirts, and so it was you had these kind of two groups. You had the image-based bands with the hair and the kind of the glammy look, and then you had the thrash metal bands that were just basic t-shirts and long hair and stripped down look, but powerful music, and then you had Saint trying to figure out our way in there somewhere along the lines, but we had some hair, but we had some image, and eventually we wanted to shed the image a little bit because it became a pain in the ass. But I look back on the 80s fondly. People had mullets. Now I got no hair.
That's probably the best hairstyle to have,
Well, it's easy. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about all the products you put in your
That's true.
So,
That's true.
so when I was looking you up, I looked on the all-knowing Wikipedia, and you know how true that is. So I want you to either fact or fiction for me, sir. So I was looking at your Wikipedia page, and it said that you were part of a band called Stone Soldier. Is that true?
Well, that's funny that that's on there. I was not in the band Stone Soldier, but I did a couple songs with them. They were friends of mine. They were from the San Fernando Valley, and and a couple of the guys were buddies of ours, and so they were. I think there was a period of time where they were kind of in between singers, so they needed help to make a demo, and I did a couple songs for them. And they also did support Armored Saint on some shows throughout town, and like I said, they were buddies, but I was never in the band.
Okay.
Officially. I don't know. It's so funny that's on there.
So that's partly true though.
It's not true in the sense that I was in the band,
Right.
but there is an association. Yes.
I got you. I got you. And there's one more thing that I found on here that's very interesting to me. It says 2005 to 2019 side projects. It says that you have done commercial voiceovers for the fast food chain Burger King.
There was a period of time where I was the tag voice for Burger King.
Nice.
Around, say it started, I feel like around like 06 and went to about 10. And I did a lot of spots, tons of radio commercials, a bunch of TV commercials as well, where I was just the tag voice, like get it at Burger King,
Oh yeah, okay.
2 for 1, whatever it was, the various different things I did. And it was a great job. It was awesome. And it was sad when it ended because it was very lucrative. So,
Right. Yeah. Did I guess you got some free burgers from that? Or like did you
I don't know if I ever ate any more Burger King because of it, to be honest. But I did do a lot of spots with the King, and there was some cool campaigns. There were some pretty funny ones that I did. I thought they were very creative. And then for a while I basically was let go, and then a whole company took over, and then they eliminated the King, which was a pretty bad idea. And for a long period of time, they didn't have the King in their spots, and now they brought him back, and that was pretty smart because he was kind of like an icon associated with the company.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bring me back, but they didn't.
I still love Burger King burgers, man. I think they're bigger than McDonald's burgers, so. But
well, they make them over the fire and they're not fried, so that was the
that was a big deal. Yeah. So at what age did you do you remember him hearing music for the first time? Like is there some kind of old like memory of
Yeah, I think I was about 4 or 5 years old. Probably exposed to like the Beatles, or some of my parents' records were like Dean Martin and Engelbert Humperdinck and Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, which all those artists are still great to this day.
Yeah.
And it was probably that young when I had 2 older brothers, so they exposed me to some music. And then eventually I discovered Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. I was probably listening to that when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And luckily enough, I had a lot of influence with music when I was a kid. And I've always had this kind of broad view of music and love all kinds of different music, from jazz to classical to metal to soul to, you name it, pop. I love all kinds of music. And I think that's kind of helped me as a writer and just keeps me kind of having, like I said, a broad perspective of what I can do musically, how I want to sing, the things I want to try to accomplish. And said, I don't want to be somebody who just listens to one kind of music. I think that's actually pretty detrimental. So.
Right. So it sounds to me like you grew up with music all your life, ever since from like birth, right?
Yeah, like I said, real young. I remember listening to what my parents had, this really big record player. It's amazing how it was huge. They had the couple speakers built in. It was this wooden thing. I'd say it was probably about 4 feet wide and long, which maybe 3 feet wide and 2 feet tall. It was a big record player. Inside of it, was the record player and had the speakers, and it was cool. It was like a piece of the furniture in the front room, and I would listen to records on that, and sounded great. Well, it sounded great at the time. Probably sounded like crap actually, but it sounded great at the time, and that's how I kind of discovered playing albums. And to this day, I still love playing LPs.
Right. So when you mentioned Black Sabbath, it's a question just popped in my head. There's an ongoing, I guess, war between who was the first creators of heavy metal, Black Sabbath or Deep Purple. Which one do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I always think of Black Sabbath and
Yeah.
Zeppelin, to be honest,
Okay.
as top as a hard rock metal chain
Right.
or tree. I say the family tree kind of starts with those two artists. I mean, Purple certainly was in there.
Great. Yeah.
Sure, I guess, Hush, I don't know what year Hush came out, but that was pretty early on, maybe early 60s. I mean, late 60s, excuse me. So it's hard to say for sure. But they were all contributing to
Yeah.
making great music back then, for
Oh yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So in high school, we're gonna move forward here. So in high school, were you in any plays that of any of the singing nature? Like, did you go to like places where you had to sing, or like were you in like a band or something?
Me personally,
Yes.
um, well, I started off performing music when I was in junior high school. The first band I played in was a group that where we well, actually it was, yeah, it was junior high school where we played couple tunes. The band I would created with a few other guys, and we played Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin, and we played Foreigner by Feels Like the First Time by Foreigner, which is kind of
Yeah.
an unusual choice, but great song. Amazing singer Lou Graham.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, a new band kind of developed, which was kind of the early stages of Armored Saint. Actually, it was me, Gonzo, Phil, and Joey, and we had a band called Royal Decree, and we played cover tunes, and we started to try to write our own tunes, and that was in high school, and played some backyard parties, and then that eventually led to what became Armored Saint, which was me and Joey, Gonzo, and Phil, and then Dave Pritchard eventually was a big part of the band, and he was a guitar player, and then that's when we started kind of writing our own songs, and so there was different kind of levels to it. But I'd say in junior high is when I really decided that this is something I wanted to do. I didn't really know to what capacity. I just knew that it was fun to be on stage and play and have people respond.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that's
I was probably about 14 when that happened.
okay. 14. That's a good age because at that age you're really getting your what you want to be. When you grew up. So.
Yeah, I probably sang like crap. I was probably going through hormone development and changes. So it's probably a lot of cracking. I
Cracking.
wish I had a recording of that. I don't. I have a lot of photos from that particular show, but I don't have an actual audio recording, which would have been on a cassette. And I don't. I maybe somebody does, but I don't.
Right.
I like to hear it though.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, so we're going into the 2000s now. Um, so when new metal hit the scene, bands like Korn and all those Limp Bizkit and bands like that, right? When that genre came out, what did you initially think of it? Did you think, oh, we got to get into this mentality, or did you want to, or like, it doesn't phase us, we'll keep going with Armored Saint stuff.
Well, remember in the 90s, I actually joined Anthrax. And then during that time was the whole grunge movement that was taking
Right.
place. I think that what happens is that you listen to these groups, and, you are aware of them. You try to find some inspiration from them because, like you said, Korn, Deftones, Rage Against the Machine were amazing bands, and still amazing bands. Same with the bands that happened in the 90s, and bands like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, and of course Nirvana, Faith No More. These are, again, incredible bands that you want to listen to and you want to get inspiration from. You don't necessarily want to say, what are they doing? Let me change my whole identity and my whole origin of what we are and just kind of go into that mode. But you can get inspiration from these bands, and just find something that motivates you. So I think that's something that is just a positive. I don't think it would be healthy for, like I said, a group, especially a group that started in the 80s, to all of a sudden change their whole identity to try to fit in with bands that came 20 years after them or 10 years later. I think that would just be a major identity crisis right there. But like I said, you can certainly be inspired by it and motivated by it, and somehow, some way, it could trickle into influencing you a little bit, and it keeps you updated, it keeps you modern, it keeps you current, and it keeps you motivated. I think it's unhealthy for somebody to say, "Oh, I only like bands from the '80s, and I only like bands from when we started." That's just I would never think that way. I like bands from the '50s and the '60s, and that was way before me. So and I try to buy records and artists that I think who just came out last year who I like. If it's something I dig, I don't really care what era it's from, what type of music, what genre. If I dig it, I dig it. I want to get fired up from it.
Right.
Like I said, somehow, some way, it might kind of seep into your mindset a little bit when you're creating, but only as an influential way and not as a way to say I'm changing my style to do this. That would be, I think, a big mistake.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned because I had the same idea with dig what you dig, because back in my high school days, I listened to and talked about nothing but Metallica forever in the day. My mom got so mad. um, but
Stop playing Creeping Death.
yeah, yeah. Or even my favorite song ever is Four Horsemen.
Yeah, Four Horsemen's awesome.
It's a great song. But yeah, ever since I grew up from my teenage years, I listened to everything, and I don't dislike anything. And you're right, dig what you dig. Who cares if people are gonna, laugh at you or for liking one band or who cares,
Yeah, well, I think when you're growing up and you're in like high school and stuff, you want to fit into peer groups. I think that's a normal thing for kids to want to do. And you connect with a certain group, and that certain group kind of likes a certain kind of music. Maybe it's punk rock, maybe it's hip hop now, maybe it's metal. So you kind of want to connect. And I understand that. It's a very normal thing.
Right.
But again, when it comes to being a musician, I think you only gain from listening to lots of music. Because why not? There's a lot of great music out there. To me, it would be limited to say, I only like this sport and that's all I'll ever watch. Or it's, I only like eating hamburgers and that's it. I don't like any other kind of food. What? There's amazing food from Indian to Mexican to Italian to, Ethiopian. Why would you only want to eat this? So to me, again, the whole world is there to consume, to enjoy. Pardon me, my phone's ringing. But anything that you can actually benefit from that would just, again, inspire you, influence you, motivate you, whatever it is, whether it's art or whether it's traveling, you name it. Everything is there to just enhance you as a human being. And I think that's something you should always embrace.
Yeah, man, couldn't have said that more perfectly, because I think that's true today as it was back then. There's one question I have for you, and it doesn't shock me, but it's like more like how did you do it? So I want to ask you about your voice. You have kept your voice in pristine shape throughout the years, and I hear and see most bands in the '80s, and even before then, that the singers have lost their voice, like Doug Ray from Marshall Tucker Band or Mark Slaughter from Slaughter. So what has been your secret to keeping your voice still alive and well to this day? Because you still sound like you haven't lost it at all.
Well, I've been pretty lucky when it comes to that. As far as trying to keep my voice in shape, trying to keep it staying healthy and powerful, and it's something I strive to try to do, and I want to be the best singer I can, and try to just, like I said, push myself as a vocalist, and take care of myself. I haven't always done that the best I could, believe it or not. There's been plenty of times where it's like, I've treated my voice rather poorly through the years, but luckily I'm still, able to belt it out for the most part. And, I love singing, and I love to bring out the best in my style. That's the most important thing to me. It's not necessarily about having the biggest range. I can sing 4 different octaves. I don't care about any of that. It's more about when you hear it, it sounds like John Bush. That to me is the most important thing. That's anything else is rather secondary to me. It's just more about hearing the style, hearing the uniqueness, and capitalizing that as a singer. That's what I want to do the best I can. Like I said, everything else in terms of, you know, like having this wide, crazy octave range, you know, being a classically trained singer, you know, I'm not that, man. I'm like a bluesy hard rock singer, and I just try to motivate being the best guy in that style I can. And luckily, you know, the knock on wood, my voice has held up. I've had some moments. I've had some certainly some dire times where I blew my voice out, or
Right.
you know, maybe you get sick on the road and you kind of lose it a little bit. And trust me, nothing hurts more than going through that. It's like having an injury, and you know, as an athlete, and you literally can't run, or you know, you have a pulled muscle or something, and you just can't run, and it's a drag. It's real frustrating to have to go through that. It's probably one of the worst things I've ever encountered as a musician, but you just kind of hang in there, push through, and get to the next step. And that's, you know, that's what I try to do. And, you know, luckily here I am. I started singing really, I'd say really professionally and really taking it seriously, probably around the age of 19. And here I am 58. So that's almost 40 years, and still belting it out. I think maybe sounding better than ever. So I'm pretty fortunate.
Well, I think you still have one of the greatest voices in metal history, man.
Well, that's very nice of you, brother. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome. So on in the year 2011, you did a show in San Francisco with the Soul Rebel Brass Band and Metallica. And you were asked on stage to sing the Four Horsemen with Metallica.
Right. Yeah.
I never knew this. I'm a big, huge Metallica fan, and I never knew this until I heard this. But James said that he was when they were performing, he thought about you as their singer. Um, did you know that before? I mean, or like was it like a oh my god, you know, kind of moment?
Yeah, well, the story goes is that Metallica was still thinking about getting another singer other than James. At that time, maybe he wasn't completely sure he wanted to be the vocalist.
Right.
Of course, now we're all happy that he remained the singer of Metallica, because
Oh,
there hasn't been anybody else doing it other than him and singing the songs. However, they were interested in me. Armored Saint was kind of coming up the ranks. The thing is, what I always explain to people is that we were doing well. Our band was starting to develop and get a lot of notoriety in the Los Angeles and international scene, and we were happy about it. You know, we were very close to one another. Even then, we were guys who grew up together, and we were stoked about our band doing well. So as flattered as I was to be asked to join Metallica, I was happy in my band. So I just think it was never meant to be for me to be the singer. However, the cool thing is on the 30th anniversary shows, they brought in Armored Saint to actually open that gig. And then of course they brought me in to sing on the Four Horsemen, to say, wow, this is what if.
what if?
What if, you know, and it was cool. It was an amazing moment. It was a super fun night. It was a special time in my life, and get up there and play with those guys and do that song. And, you know, it's been documented because it's out on DVD and, you know, YouTube, and people can watch it. And it sounded great. It was fun, and I had a blast.
Awesome, and it was awesome for me because it's like, oh, you know, I mean, because I've always wondered, you know, what Metallica would sound with another guy, and you knocked that out of the park, I think.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, but like I said, it was not my fate, if you will. You know, it's just not my destiny to be the singer of Metallica, and you know, that's a lot of pressure, because Metallica is arguably the biggest metal band in the world. So I can't imagine, like I said, anyone's voice being there other than James. And what a great singer he became, and developed and evolved, and you know, super commanding and just awesome. He's really made incredible strides as a vocalist.
Right. Well, since you mentioned like a what if scenario, so we're gonna play what if, right? Okay, so what if, right? Clifford never died, and Dave never left the band as a lead guitarist, you know, Dave Mustaine, and they had you as the lead singer. Do you think you got the you know, the same songs and the same albums, or would it take a totally different route? Do you think?
Wow.
Like a
That's
what if scenario? Yeah.
that's an interesting perspective. I've never heard anyone put it like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I know you came up with a very interesting question there. Yeah, I mean, Dave Mustaine certainly wrote a lot of early Metallica songs, even ones that were on Ride the Lightning. So he was a big part of the songwriting, certainly. I
Right.
think Dave Mustaine was meant to be a front man, though, and so as much as for a while he was angry about what happened with Metallica, I'm assuming he got over that.
Right.
Um, I hope he did.
Right.
The reality is that with Metallica, he wasn't ever going to be the front man. He would have been the lead guitar player, as Kirk was, and it was always still going to be James. So, and I think Dave was destined to be a front man. So, really, he benefited from his departure in Metallica. He certainly milked that rivalry for a long time that I think helped Megadeth. And in the end, I think that like I said, he was meant to be the singer of the band, and then that's the way he was. That was his fate, if you will. Cliff, that was just a tragedy, and there's no other way to put
Yeah.
that.
That is. Yeah.
It was just a tragedy, and he was certainly a huge aspect of Metallica. We toured with Metallica on the Ride the Lightning tour, and we
Nice.
met with Cliff a lot, and he was a great guy and a very unique bass player, and added a lot to the band. And his persona was certainly missed, but Jason came in and he did an incredible job and was part of those huge records, and was a great bass player and a big aspect of their live performance. And now Robert's in there, contributing hugely.
Yeah. You can. Yeah.
So, what are you going to do? You have to pick up and go on, and that's what they did after Cliff.
I think Cliff was a once in a lifetime bassist and human being because I don't think anybody can touch him now. You know.
Yeah, he was kind of like this hippie. That's what his whole trip
Yeah.
was. Bottom pants and throwing his hair around and playing with Rickenbacker, it seemed like, and he had his kind of his he was like a throwback even then. He was like a guy from the 70s. Again, big personality, and certainly was missed when he passed on. But they picked up, they got Jason, and Jason did an incredible job with him as well. So.
Yeah, he killed it. Oh yeah, yeah. Even now, Robert's killing it with him too.
Yeah, boy, it's hard to fill those shoes. It's hard to fill those big personality shoes, just like it was hard for Brian Johnson to fill Bon Scott's shoes, and it was hard for me to fill Joey Belladonna's shoes. So he is these big rock and roll icons, and although Joey isn't dead, I know Cliff and Bon Scott are, but same thing for Sammy Hagar when he had to replace David Lee Roth. It's hard to come in and take over for these people who have contributed so much to those groups. But life goes on a lot of the time, and you can't replace Eddie Van Halen. I'm sure it won't happen. I haven't seen Pantera attempt to try to replace not only Dime but Vinny, and I don't think they'll do that, and I hope they don't. Some people just got to let it go, and just same with Zeppelin, and when Bonham died, they call it a day, and I think that's the important thing to do. Now the Stones have to replace Charlie Watts, and I guess they're doing that. I have mixed emotions about that, but hey, we'll see what happens.
I don't think you can ever, like make a new Pantera ever again, because I mean two of the most prolific human beings in the world, Dimebag and Vinny, are not here, so I don't think you can actually do that. Really, I don't know. That's kind of yeah. So when somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, John, I'm thinking about starting in the music business, starting in the band," what would you tell someone who wanted to start in the music business?
I would certainly encourage anybody who wanted to start in a band and get in a group, and who love music. I think that's everybody should follow that dream if they have it, and that's great. I love music. I always will, and it's a big part of my life. And I think that anybody who finds that same kind of passion, they should follow it for sure. It's not an easy road. I'll tell you that much right now. Have fun, you know, taking that journey. But nevertheless, it's still one that a lot of people make, and I think that is something that brings, you know, let's face it, music brings a lot of joy to people, and
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's all you can ask for as a musician. You know, I always tell people you can't really determine the success that you're going to have. You know, Armand saying, here we are years later, and we've had ups and downs in our career, but at the end of the day, I feel like we've made some really amazing music, and I'm really proud of. And you know, I think that that's the thing that you just follow, is just follow your heart with what you love and what you listen to, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, because it you're right, because it is like a very hard road to go down. Because I was talking to Shim Moore of who sing for Sick Puppies, and he said he doesn't recommend anybody going to the business. I'm like, what? Yeah, so I guess he had like a very very bad experience, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, there's plenty of people that probably feel that way. I would hope that, you know, you don't want to be too bitter about it,
Right,
because,
right.
you know, then you'll just look back negatively on it. And even a band like Skinny Puppy, you know, had a lot of fame. So yeah, I don't want to be negative about it. I mean, believe me, there's things that have pissed me off and frustrated me to no end. But in the end, I still want to look back on my career fondly, because otherwise, I mean, I don't want to look back on anything negatively, let alone the music business. Nothing. I think that's just, why would I want to do that? I want to be happy. I want to, when the day comes and the casket is closed, the
Right.
dirt is poured over, I want to say it was a good run. You know, I don't want to, it sucked, you know. So
Well,
and if you have to, and if for some reason something in your life is sucking, you got to turn, you got to fix it. You got to do
yeah,
something. You only got one. I mean, look, maybe you believe in reincarnation. I don't know. And the afterlife, hey, hopefully, you know, but at the end of the day, you don't know. So you want to make this life count. So you do everything in your power to fix that. And if something's not going the right way, fix it, change it, do something. But you want to have a good life. That's the bottom line.
exactly, exactly. You said it perfectly, man.
Thank you,
Um,
brother.
so your band works with a site called Iron Grip Records .bandcamp.com that sells a T-shirt and a cassette of Symbol of Salvation. Um, and uh, these are coming back more than ever. You know, it's the basic cassette tapes, right? The olive, right? So, what do you think about the resurgence and rebirth of cassettes and vinyl records? Because I love vinyl records, man.
Yeah,
Got a
it's
lot of
funny. I mean, LPs I always love. I love the, you know, the gatefolds and just the big
yeah,
product. And I
yeah.
love, to me, putting on an album and putting it on sounds amazing. It's just a warm feeling, and I love the artwork, nice and big. Cassettes, well, I used to have lots of cassettes. I'm surprised that maybe they're having a slight resurgence. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, my daughter, who's 16 years old, one of her good friends went to a show the other day, and she showed me the cassette she got, and I was cracking up. I was like, wow,
Oh
cool.
man, yeah,
I don't think they sound that great, quite frankly. They would always get chewed up in this
yeah.
player, and the tape would get jacked up. And but hey, you know what? Product is cool. Like I think there's something to be said, of course, for MP3s or downloads, but I don't ever feel connected. If I have a, you know, an LP, I mean a CD or an album. Here, check this out. Hold on a minute. Hold on a second here.
Okay.
I just went and got a bunch of records. See, look at all these records I got, you know, Montrose, Parliament, Sonny and Cher. Can you see all that? See all these? This is just a handful of the ones I've gotten recently. So I love LPs. LPs are always going to be special to me. So however you get music, whatever that is, whatever method, I think, of course, you know, as long as you're just getting music, that's the most important thing. But, you know, personally, for me, I mean, come on. Dark Side of the Moon. You can never beat that on an album. Look at that. Come on. That's,
Yeah.
so, you know, whatever. Like I said, I'm always going to be partial to vinyl, but as long as you're getting music, that's the most important thing. Music is really important. I think everybody should love music, no matter what style it is. And as long as you're getting it, that's the most important thing. So buy a record, go out into a record store and actually throw down, 12, 15 bucks for a record. People pay for bottled water, for Christ's sake.
Right. Yeah.
People have no problem going in and going, I'll have a, Frappuccino, Mochaccino, whatever. And they spend $5 for coffee. What do you do? You drink it, and then an hour later, you're going to take a poop and you're done. Right.
Right.
But this is something that can last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And inspire you. That
Yeah.
cup of coffee, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love coffee, but what's that going to do for you?
It's probably gonna wake up for like an hour and a half, and then you're done. An hour.
Right. Like I said, people pay $4 for a bottle of water. Water. So, I mean, music is something that can inspire you and motivate you and give you memories for a lifetime. So, for some reason, there was a period of time where people thought, oh, music should be free. Why? Why should it be free? Why? I mean, people have to make it. It costs money to make a record. It's not like you're going into a recording studio and getting a freebie. So you have to pay for it. So why shouldn't people buy it? I don't know. It makes no sense to me. You can't go into, the Audi dealer and go, oh, I like that car. I'll take it for free. No, you have to buy it. So, I mean, why do people think that they shouldn't have to pay for music? I don't get it. That makes no sense to me. Art, help the artist out, contribute to the artist, buying records. It's a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I love the fact that you have the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
Great album. And we recently interviewed Scott Page from Pink Floyd, and he's just the sweetest guy ever.
Oh, that's great. Well, I know Roger Waters and David Gilmour are still having beef.
Yeah,
all these years later. Get over it.
Yeah, so we need another Pink Floyd record.
Yeah. Well, no more Richard Wright, which sucks because he's gone. But I don't know. They got to bury the hatchet there. Roger Waters. I heard some interview where he was complaining about the cash register and money, and he was saying, it was my idea. It was my idea. I'm like, really, dude? Does it matter all these years later? Come on.
It doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. So with the Symbol of Salvation Live coming out on October 22nd of this year, a couple weeks, right? It's like 2 weeks or something.
That's correct.
So this album is from the classic album under the same name, Symbol of Salvation, came out in '91. So this being the first band live album to be released, what was it about Symbol of Salvation that made you want to do a live album of it?
Well, it's not our first live album. Let me correct you. Saints Will Conquer was a live record that we had that came out in 1989. And as a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, we had another live record called Carpe Noctem that also came out. So this is our first full-length DVD / live record. And what it is, what's special about it, it's the whole album in its entirety, because we did a tour in 2018 where we went out and we played the whole Symbol of Salvation album from front to back, as a lot of people are doing these days, which is really cool.
Yeah.
We did that as a tour, and then we filmed it, and then we recorded it. So that's this show from New York City, a couple other bits and pieces from other gigs. Primarily, it's all from the Gramercy Theater in New York, and it's a great thing. It was a fun tour to do. We had a lot of fun playing that record every night. It's a very, very broad sounding album, and lots of different nooks and crannies throughout. It's got rockin' tunes like Rain of Fire and Warzone, and then it has more classic songs like Tainted Past and Last Train Home, and it's just a great album, and playing it every night was a lot of fun, and it demonstrated to us how good the record really is again. And so this DVD and live record is really cool. Lots of funny banter, me talking about the origins of some of the songs and my stab at trying to be humorous. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But all in all, it's a great album, and we're really proud of it. And it's just another part of the Armored Saint discography.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's awesome that because I'm like, feel free to correct me with anything. So so I do apologize for not getting that.
That's okay. No worries.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So we do have 3 more questions for you, sir, and then we'll let you go. So last week I went on Instagram and I said, anybody who has questions for you, please leave them below. And we got 2 of them from Chantel Ogden. Now she is a country singer, So if you like country, you need to check her out.
Okay,
But
great. I love country.
good. Yes, the country's awesome. So yeah, I love it too. That's probably my first favorite genre next to metal. You know,
Okay, cool.
I just love country to death. You know.
Uh,
She has two questions for you. One is what do you wish you had known about the music business before you got into it? Which is a very very good question, I think.
can you repeat that one more time? Just I want to make sure I hear what you're saying here.
Sure. What do you wish you would have known about the music business before you got into it?
Well, I like I told you earlier, I was talking about the things about the music business. I don't want to be somebody who's bitter about the music business, because there is some things that are pretty tough about it. You learn a lot. You find out it's not always an easy road. Like I said to you, you discover lots of things about your own self and about you know the success that you'll have in the business. What the band that you're in can contribute, and what your legacy is going to be. All those things are really really important, but I think most important is that you just want to make music that again connects with people at some way, some capacity. I think that's the most important thing. That's always been vital to me, and the artists and the musicians I played with, whether it was the guys Insane or Anthrax or other people. It's just that you're making something that is affecting people on a positive level, and I think that's all I've ever wanted to do. There's aspects of the business that can be real frustrating, but you just carry on, because why not? It's music, and I think it's an important part of people's lives. So that's the way I see it.
Right. Yeah. Well, this podcast revolves around music and how it helps, like depression and anxiety. I have depression. My co-host has depression, and we look towards music to help us through anything. Because music,
Well,
like you said
yeah.
before, music's always there.
Yeah, I mean, music's been my therapy for sure. I mean, it's brought in various emotions in my life, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's joy, whatever it is, angst, or energy, or you name it. It runs the gamut, and it's brought a lot of joy to my life through the years, more than religion. More than a lot of things. So it's been my therapy. It's been my personal, physical, mental therapist through the years. Sometimes physical therapist as well.
Sometimes,
And I think that's why I'm so connected to it, because it's always been there. If I'm sad, I'll put on a melancholy slow song and get sadder, but it taps into your emotions, and I
right.
think that's the key. Or if you're sad, maybe you put it on and it makes you happy and it changes your emotions. So, like I said, it runs the gamut of what it can do for you. It's been the best therapist I could ever ask for.
I totally agree with you, and I'm right there with you. Okay, so the second last question she has for you is, what has been important to you? What has been important to you in your career?
Well, I think just having longevity. I think that's the most important thing in my career that I I'm the happiest with. To be able to be doing this for as long as I have. I think that we always had that ambition when we started on Armored Saint. We were all like 17, 18 years old, and we're like, we're going to be as big as the Who and the Stones, and then you realize, well, maybe we're not, but we're gonna hopefully be around as long as them. And then you
Right.
say, well, the
Yeah.
Stones are still playing, and so are the Who. It's like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
that was then. Somebody said something recently to me that the Who did their farewell concert tour in '82, and they're still touring, which is insane. So yeah, I think that was as you can never really guarantee the success that you're going to have, because it's just a crapshoot. It's a roll of the dice. There's so many different factors involved in making a record successful on a financial level. So you just can't guarantee that. It's just impossible. But what you can do is guarantee the quality of what you do, and you can try to strive for having a long career. So even though I haven't had the most successful career financially, I've had a long career with making a lot of music through the years, and for that I'm probably the most proud of.
Nice, nice. Um, So our very last question for you today is okay, so like I said before, this podcast is called When Words Show Music Speaks, right?
Nice.
And I don't think that's true to that's true to everybody, So is there one song that you can think of right now off at the top of your head that you can listen to, but you can't tell, your wife or your children or me how it makes you feel inside? It's something so deep in you.
Oh wow. Well, I think there's probably certain songs through the years that have tapped into a emotion of mine. Maybe it connects with a particular time in my life. Um, you know, uh, for instance, I'll just off the top of my head say a song like Another Day, which is on the Symbol Salvation record. That was written by Dave Pritchard and myself. Dave lost his life to leukemia back in 1990. He was, the key guitar player in Armored Saint through the years of the 80s. And we sorely miss him still to this day. Every day we'll miss Dave, we'll think about him. But he brought a lot of joy to our lives. He was an incredible writer. I'm so proud to be able to shared songwriting duties with him through the years. And when I think of a song like that, I'm super proud of it and know that we wrote that song trying to just strive for another day because Dave was sick. He had leukemia. We didn't know if he was going to go on. We didn't know if the band was going to go on. There was a lot of uncertainties in our life at that time, but we wrote this song and it's a real epic type tune. And to this day, if I hear it, it probably taps into a certain part of my soul that I think is something I'm extremely proud of.
Yeah. Well, all of our listeners, you can find Armored Saint at armoredsaint.com on Facebook, Instagram, you name the place, it's there. But I noticed you don't have you personally don't have an Instagram page, do you?
I don't actually. I have no social media personally. That's a decision I made to kind of step away from it.
Right.
I'll happily do any interviews like I'm doing with you. I feel like through the years, I've been pretty nice to the fan base that I have. For the most part, every now and then I can be a jerk. Who isn't, right? But
Right.
that overall, my reputation is pretty good, and I'm a nice guy, and I'm happy about that. But I just don't want to, it's a hard enough life that I live with my wife and my kids, and I strive for privacy, and I kind of feel like social media gets in the way of that for me. Hey, I'm not only speaking on my own behalf. So, but if you meet me out on the streets, I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Nice. Well, you are the most nice guy I've ever met so far. So
Wow.
I love you like a brother, and we thank you very much for coming on the show. We would love to have you again.
It's been a great interview. You've asked some really cool and different questions, and I applaud you for that. And thanks for the support, through the years, and for the current support. And have a great week, and we'll see you on the road.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you very much.
All right, bud. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.